Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And it's Wednesday. We're going to talk about some of the news in the world of professional wrestling. Ricochet potentially, there used to be plans for Ricochet to be in the Hurt Business. We're going to talk about that. WWE is opening the forbidden door. Cody Rhodes has dissed AEW, albeit it was a little bit of a subtle diss. And we're going to talk about the controversy to do with me and my comments on Awesome Truth Spucking. And of course, previewing AEW Dynamite. After all, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. But before we get into all of that, we need to get into introducing the panel for today's show. And let's kick things off with the co-host of the show. How are you, Clark?
I'm fired up to be here. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is Wednesday, and I know exactly what that means. We're going to be talking Dynamite, some news, some stories, all kinds of good stuff. Ben, your camera dropped, and you're totally still on the screen. That is neither here nor there, but I am fired up to be a part of this broadcast on Wednesday. A little behind the scenes footage here from Mr. Allison himself. But I'm jacked to be here. I'm excited to talk about a bunch of stuff. I mean, that footage has got to be coming out here shortly, right? From the Ricochet and Braun spot. Punk had to have confronted them behind the scenes. Am I wrong?
Oh gosh, I'm sure if people haven't seen Clark's tweet yet, then I'll be posting it to the Wrestling Republic Instagram later on. But basically, I'm sorry, is my TV slanted? It's not the TV, it's the camera. Anyway, I'll get this fixed, guys. But more importantly, Clark is saying that surely CM Punk's kicked up a fuss about Braun Breaker and Ricochet using real glass.
Isn't the rental car service going to cut off? Aren't they going to no longer allow rented cars with this broken glass? I mean, I'm just saying.
Who knows? Real glass.
Opportunity offenders.
Cry me a river, Clark. Anyway, also joining me today, we have Josh Markowitz. How are you today, Josh?
What's up, Ben? What's going on, everybody? I'm fired up to be here. I think, as everyone knows, Wednesday here at Wrestling Republic is my favorite day. I'm always on Wednesday show talking news, daily stuff going on through the world of pro wrestling, which is always awesome. And just looking at these topics, right there, it's weird the other way. I mean, the topics are phenomenal today. Sorry, we're talking a bunch of good stuff, so I'm ready to get into it. First off, Ricochet and the Hurt Business.
Yep, absolutely. This is a hell of a topic to open a show with. Now, in case you guys haven't seen MVP's tweet, he took to Twitter, or now known as X, yesterday, and he said he originally pitched for Ricochet to be in the Hurt Business with Cedric Alexander, but WWE told him you can only have either Cedric or Ricochet. Clark, should Ricochet have been that guy?
So I don't necessarily think Ricochet should have been the guy over Cedric. MVP explained that in the same exact quote that you're talking about, where he said that they took Cedric because they thought that Cedric needed it more than Ricochet. And I would actually agree with that at the time. I think they should have been allowed to have both. I look at this faction, the Hurt Business, and I thought there was so much promise. There was so much opportunity with that faction. It was so well presented at first. And then it got to a point where they kind of got jobbed out. And I look at them in relation to a team like the Judgment Day now, a faction like the Judgment Day. And Judgment Day, at first, I was skeptical of. And then, yes, they hit their stride there in the middle. And now it's what it is. But Hurt Business could have accomplished something like that. And the addition of Ricochet, I don't think would have hurt it. Not in any way. I don't know what WWE missed on Ricochet. And I don't know exactly what we do from here. It's hard for me to quantify. Ricochet is so dang talented. It doesn't really make sense that he's been put in these spots that he's been put in over time during his WWE run. I don't even know. Leaving WWE, I think, is going to be important for Ricochet, but I don't know if Hurt Business was the solution unless the Hurt Business got pushed stronger than they were at the time, and it's both. I don't know necessarily if it's Ricochet instead of Cedric that changes anything. And that's my only issue with answering the question.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. I mean, it would have been interesting because we haven't really seen a heel Ricochet, ever. So to see a heel
No.
Ricochet hurt business, it would have shown a different side to him, and that is the only reason why I'm like, maybe that could have elevated him. Maybe as a heel, they could have thought he could be a main event.
I was joking last night when we were doing off the air with Shad and Drizzy about how do we handle him potentially leaving WWE and getting that match with Ospreay. And I'm like, well, you can't probably take Ricochet with you. I'm like, why don't you just make him Irish, call him Ricochet, and send him out there against Ospreay. I'm totally kidding. That was a joke.
He owns Ricochet, so he can take Ricochet anywhere.
He can take Ricochet with.
Yeah, he can take Ricochet
I was going to say, I'm like.
But the thing about it is, right, in case you guys haven't heard, there are rumors, the speculation, the dirtiest dirt sheet and all the dirt sheet entertainment. They're all speculating that Ricochet might just be going bye-bye to WWE. And then as soon as that stuff came out, well,
it's not even about the dirt sheet part for me. I just we all know his contract ends, right? Yeah, he got written off TV.
That's what they're claiming. Yeah, we've heard nothing from anybody at all about a contract expiring, other than the dirt sheets. But if they are true, then yeah, he could be going bye-bye soon, and it will certainly be interesting. But rather than us, focusing on that, Josh, do you reckon his time in WWE could have been different? Maybe he could have reached the main event level if he was to be, in the position in the Hurt Business, if he was one of the members, the founding members of the Hurt Business.
Yeah, it's odd when I read this report and read what what MVP said, and he said they couldn't have both, Cedric or Ricochet. That kind of makes you think that maybe they had plans for Ricochet and then they got scrapped, because you would think, hey, take both. We're not doing anything really with Ricochet. We're not really doing much with Cedric, and I think it was a little bit obvious that Ricochet was a better talent than Cedric. But it makes you think, if at that time they said, hey, you can't have both, you would think maybe, hey, we got plans for Ricochet, you can't take him yet. And then nothing really happened with Ricochet. So yeah, it's kind of weird what happened. But in my opinion, I'm pretty thankful he never honestly joined the Hurt Business. Not that I'm thankful, I just don't think it would have done much for him. I understand the want for him to be in the faction. I think it would have been nice to see him go heel, but it was also risky. I think one of his main faults is just his mic work. He's not very good on the mic, and that's pretty evident. I think a lot of people know that, and that could have been what was holding him back from potentially holding a major championship in WWE. And maybe that's what Vince wasn't a fan of, and maybe even Triple H. I mean, we know in ring his talent is just incredible, but his mic work is not that good, and I know there's not that much room for experiments in WWE. So I don't know if they're willing to kind of just experiment him as a heel. But look, I mean, in terms of the Hurt Business, and it was the dark days of the pandemic. I don't even think a Ricochet could have helped the Hurt Business become the number one thing. Like at that time, they held all the belts, and they still didn't really feel like the big thing. Like they didn't feel like a Hall of Fame faction. It goes on saying that Ricochet's been underused almost his entire career. He had an Intercontinental Championship in 2022, and he's Speed Champion, and he had an NXT run, a great NXT run actually. But after that, he didn't really do much besides put on great quality matches, which is something that obviously WWE like overlooked significantly. But why would I have wanted him in the Hurt Business? I guess just to see him get more TV time, hold a belt. But besides that, I mean, like, look at where the Hurt Business is now. At one point they were holding all the belts in the WWE. Now Lashley's still kind of stuck in the mid card. Cedric Alexander hasn't wrestled on TV since like April, where he was squashed by Braun Baker at the draft. Shelton Benjamin isn't even a part of the company anymore. I don't think the Hurt Business was a very successful group. Obviously they did hold the belts, but was it truly quality TV? I don't think so. I think it was kind of just during the dark times of the pandemic, they needed something, and they did get that something. I don't think it really did much for any of the members. So I don't know how much it would have done for Ricochet had he joined. But I feel like he's kind of a natural face. I don't think it would have worked out completely if he joined, or really done. I don't think it would have done anything very significant to his career, to the point where it's like he's staking the Hurt Business at his Hall of Fame speech for elevating his career. I don't think it would have got to that point, to be honest.
I'm going to be honest, Josh, I completely disagree with you in terms of, the Hurt Business on TV not being quality. They were honestly, during those days in the pandemic, they were personally my favorite part of the weekly TV, and I thought it elevated at the time all the performers in the group. Now, you are right, long term elevated nobody, but I think that's more the fault of the booking, following it. We often talk about AEW after people are, champions, or like a big moment happens, a big win, they fail to capitalize on it, such as Takeshita, for example. And I think it was the same with the Hurt Business with WWE. I think they just didn't capitalize on the wrestlers in it after it. But I also do think you're right. I don't think Ricochet could have been a heel, but who knows? Maybe just if he was in that faction, maybe they wouldn't have split them up so fast. But at this point in time, it's all just speculating. But it really is, it's disappointing, It also do, have to ask you, right? If all these rumors are true, this speculation is true, do you reckon leaving WWE would be the right move at this time for Ricochet, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the company for some time now, and really, there's really nothing left for him to do. It seems like because I mean, obviously there is more he should be doing, but it just doesn't seem like WWE is giving him the ball, and it doesn't seem like they want him, hit that buzzer beater three. It doesn't seem like they really want him to do much, so they're not. He's putting on quality match after match, and he's been on TV weekly, which is great for him. And of course, there's the personal part. His wife Samantha Irvin is a ring announcer. So when I first heard this news about potentially Ricochet leaving, I was definitely a bit surprised because his wife is in the company, and now all different sorts of confrontation altercations may happen, and it's tough leaving wife, different work schedule, stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the way he has to go is he has to leave WWE. Could he come back potentially? Maybe. Yeah, maybe, but, he's also reaching kind of an age where he's not gonna slow down, but if he's in another company for 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know how much left he's gonna have after those years to really join WWE again and be a big star. He's been big in Japan, he's been big elsewhere. He went to WWE, great run in NXT. He went back to NXT for a little bit, I believe earlier this year, maybe it was last year when he had that match with Carmelo Hayes, which was great. But there doesn't seem like there's much more for him to do, and it doesn't seem like there's much more that WWE wants him to do. He's not going to be the Universal Champion. He's not going to be the World Heavyweight Champion. It seems like he won't ever get past that United States Intercontinental Championship reign. Like that, it doesn't seem like he'll ever get past that mid card. And I think the way to go about it is to leave WWE, show them what they missed out on. He can go to AEW. He can be a star there for sure. He for sure could be AEW champion. I don't see why not. Go to New Japan, win a bunch of titles there again. I think that's the way to go is to leave WWE. That's where he's at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely, Josh. I do agree with you. If these rumors are true that his contract is expiring soon, then it probably is the move for him to go to somewhere like AEW. I mean, he also might get lost in the shuffle there too, but we'll have to wait and see. Tony Khan was asked about the rumors today, and his response was, "I don't talk about wrestlers under contract for other companies." So he didn't want to comment on it, but also that's not a no. That's exactly what you should say in those situations. You shouldn't give anything away, no matter what. But it'll be interesting to see that is for sure, what is next for him. There is also, by the way, something we can't overlook here. If they come on Raw next week and they say, Ricochet's got all these injuries, he might never wrestle again. And then in a few months' time, they, come to a new deal. They come to terms on a new deal. They're like, actually, Ricochet, do you want to stay? Here's what you want. And he's like, yeah, I want to stay. Him and Braun Breaker could have like a WrestleMania feud. And that could be big for Ricochet. It truly could be. But at the same time, it's probably just the time now to move on, cut your losses. And for Ricochet, well, to maybe go to AEW and have, of course, a rematch with Will Ospreay and just have the internet cry about it. Half the internet go nuts, the other half cry. I mean, I don't know if you were, I don't know, Josh, if you were like in the internet wrestling community during that time, but when their original match happened, Ricochet versus Ospreay won in New Japan, I mean, there was a meltdown on the internet, and it was like 80% negative too, which a lot of people don't talk about when they want to see it again now. But everyone was like, "Oh, there's too many flips. It's a gymnastics contest."
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, exactly.
People are always going to be negative. People are always going to be negative. It is what it is. People want to see it. People don't want to see it. That's just the IWC.
It's a funny thing though, because at the time you watched it and you were like, "What is this?" And now you watch it, like 5-6 years later, maybe even 7 years later, and it's kind of actually like it kind of fits in better now than it did then.
Yeah,
like that stuff they did.
It aged better. It
now.
aged better than it was at the time. 100%.
So maybe in like 5 years, another 5 years time, maybe wrestling will just be gymnastics. Who knows?
I don't think so.
Let's hope not. Gymnastics Republic doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? But let's now move on, and let's move on to talk about WWE opening the Forbidden Door, and specifically 2 points on this I want to touch upon. The first one is Io Sky has been announced she's going to Marigold. And if you guys don't know what Marigold is, it is basically the new promotion set up by Rossi Ogawa in Japan. And he was the old president of Stardom Wrestling. He decided to leave. He took a lot of the wrestlers with him, and he started his own promotion just last month, Marigold. And yeah, Io Sky, former women's champion in WWE, will be appearing there for a match next month. Very, very exciting. Julia's going to be on that card as well, and it should be a lot of fun. But Marigold isn't the only promotion WWE are currently doing business with. We know about TNA. We know about Jordan Grace at NXT Battleground this past weekend. But today it's been announced by Pro Wrestling Noah that there is going to be an announcement. So they've done a Tony Khan and announced an announcement for Sunday, and they said it's going to be WWE related. So it appears that WWE are going to be working once again with Noah. We know they let Nakamura go there a couple of years ago for the Great Muta's retirement tour. Well, it looks like things could get even more interesting, and we could have WWE partnering with TNA, Marigold, and Pro Wrestling Noah. But Clark, the question I have for you is why, oh why, have WWE decided right now to open the Forbidden Door up?
Well, first of all, it's completely logical. Let's start with the fact that AEW is throwing on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view for not just the first time, not the second time, but the third time coming up soon here. I don't want to discount the WWE doing this in any way because I love it. And it's not too little too late. It's just in time, but we could have done it earlier, 100%. This to me feels a little bit less like opening up the Forbidden Door as much as it feels like opening up previously unavailable avenues is the way that I would say it. The WWE was willing to work with certain promotions. It's not we're not going to get crossover stars out of left field that we never expected to see on WWE television. And we're definitely not getting WWE stars sent places other than maybe Marigold, maybe TNA, maybe a few others, but we're not going to see any pop-ups anywhere else, right? The Forbidden Door itself, even the trope that it is on the AEW side in some ways, isn't really that open, right? It's more of a unavailable avenue. Like, can we do business together and get everybody together? Yes, we can. And that's what we're going to see. And I'm excited about it. Io Sky going to Japan. That's really cool. That's going to be awesome. I love the TNA crossover. And Noah, if there's some crossover with, I have no problem with that. We've got this 25-person battle royal to determine the number one contender for the NXT championship next Tuesday that we talked about last night. I'm excited about that. I hope we get a bunch of surprises. The one though that I think I'm most focused on is really funny. It's still say his name and he appears. I think that's the crossover we really need on NXT is Joe Hendry. And I think that's what we're going to get, in all honesty.
Say his name and he'll appear. Tokyo. I believe in Joe Hendry. We don't need it. Well, we need it in NXT, but we also need it this Saturday, Clash at the Castle, right? Because if he shows up in Scotland for like a segment, the crowd will
In
go
Scotland
nuts.
and Tokyo.
Well, I mean, he's from Scotland. Like that, this is the place where he's most well known.
Great.
The roof will I don't think WWE realize how loud the reaction will be for him there, because he is one of, other than Drew McIntyre, he's probably the most famous Scottish wrestler right now.
I mean, the iTunes thing is no joke, right?
Yeah.
To get that high on the iTunes list and 1 million views on YouTube, that's not a joke. That's not
No.
as funny as the entrance is and as funny as the music is and the gimmick is. It's not a joke when you're getting that much engagement and that much viewership.
And he's gone viral multiple times too. And for some reason, the last 2 months, he's blown up over nothing new, which is the weirdest part. The stuff which has gone viral was from a couple of years ago.
No,
but
you put out quality content, people will find it eventually. That's what I would say.
Exactly. It's really impressive. And of course, him and Drew McIntyre had a feud years ago where he did a song about McIntyre too. It could be really, really fun for him at Sharp at Clash. I'm hoping for it. I really, really am. We got a couple of comments here. Okay, I'm going to talk with this one from Shard. I'm mentioning, Triple H was always a fan of other promotions and would be open to business. I don't understand why fans are crediting Triple H for this. He has absolutely nothing to do with the business side of WWE. There were two people you should be thanking. The main one is Nick Khan. Second one is Mark Shapiro, because they're the two ones who are making the calls for WWE at the minute, right?
That was Shapiro, remember, is the guy that handled the UFC during the times where we're talking about Strike Force, multiple competitors, right? Daniel Cormier came from Strike Force, Nick Diaz, Strike Force champion, Robbie Lawler, all these huge names. Oh yeah, wait a minute, Ronda Rousey, Strike Force. I mean, Shapiro has history working with other promotions and navigating landscapes like that in a different business 100%. And that is who deserves, and I'm not discounting the Nick Khan name, Ben, but I do. Mark Shapiro has history doing this.
He definitely has history.
Elite
but Nick Khan also
bringing in
Nick Khan,
Kimbo to do Ultimate Fighter Season 10. Like the resume when it comes to things like that is pretty sublime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, Nick Khan also, the reason why he is to be credited somewhat as well is he put the wheels in motion for this before the Endeavor deal. So we know he's heavily involved. We know he's in person going to these promotions and attending meetings with them. We've seen the photographs and all of that. But you are right, Mark Shapiro has a history with it too. And it's fascinating. It truly, truly is. And I'm going to actually do a tweet about this later, I think. Let's put some respect on Nick Khan's name. Please, please, please. Because he deserves
a lot of
the credit, which is actually going to Triple H. Triple H deserves the credit from a creative standpoint. But a lot of the business changes we're seeing are Nick Khan decisions, not Triple H decisions, right? Triple H doesn't have the power to remove, certain people from their jobs who were there before in terms of production and stuff, right? Kevin Dunn and all of that. Whereas Nick Khan does. And we're giving Triple H all the credit. All the production's so much better now and all of this.
I thought his name was Kevin Dunn. Wait, what?
He is done now, I'll tell you that much. But so is this segment. I'm excited for the Forbidden Door being open, but I am also excited about our good friends over at Next Level. Now, if you guys don't know what Next Level is, let me tell you a little bit about them. Basically, they put all our social media links all in one place, and that one place is nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, linked all in one place. Again, they put all our content, all our social media links in one place. It's free. They've also got an app with a thriving wrestling community. On your profiles, you can have all your links to all your social medias. It's honestly genius, guys. Again, it's free, and it's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, linked all in one place. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about something which I'm really excited to talk about. Clark, you had an opportunity to talk about it last night on NXT Off the Air, but both myself and Josh, well, we haven't had that chance yet. So, Josh, I'm going to bring you in and let's talk about it. Now, in case you guys missed it last night on NXT, Cody Rhodes rocked up. Unfortunately, Shard was really hoping that, he was just going to hand his title to Tatum Paxley. That did not happen. But what did happen was him, Sean Spears, Ethan Page, and Lexus King had a backstage encounter where Cody Rhodes said, I believe it was, all of you guys are doing good. No, it wasn't even all that. It was all you guys are in a good place or something like that.
It was in a good place.
Everyone, all of you guys, no, that's like, you guys look like you're in a good place. It was basically the slightest dig ever at AEW, but it's a diss because you had all these same guys in one segment, and that was his only line. It was a diss, right? Some people are saying it's reaching. It's not reaching. It was blatantly a diss. But Josh, was there any need for it?
Yeah, the way I see it is, why not? This is a competition. We've seen the WWE disses from AEW forever, starting with actually Cody himself smashing the throne at Double or Nothing 2019. Britt Baker, when she said that Tony should host a Dynamite in Saudi Arabia, and when Don Callis offered the Young Bucks the shirt that said like "Do not slap your leg when kicking," after like Vince McMahon like banned that in WWE. Like, come on, like AEW has been dissing WWE forever, and I understand why, because they were the ones that began lower. WWE's way above them. They need to do something to generate heat, to generate some publicity, momentum, to get themselves in the press, and I get it. But yeah, this is a rivalry. This is nature of the rivalry, and I think they didn't have to do it. But why wouldn't they do it? They got Cody Rhodes on there. They got former AEW stars on there. Yeah, you can do a 50-second segment with a little diss, just a little jab to the face. I think it was all in good fun, but it was also funny. And I do think actually that Cody Rhodes is WWE's secret weapon against AEW, and I think the real reason why they actually sent him down was to Florida for NXT was I think they're trying to beat them in the ratings this week because AEW is going against the NBA Finals tonight, so that's going to be tough for Dynamite tonight. So I think that could have been their little secret weapon to send Cody down, get the ratings up for Cody on NXT. Maybe they'll beat Dynamite ratings this week, which would be great. But yeah, I mean, look, Cody and Sean, they took their shot at NXT. They're saying they're a good place, and it's true, they are in a good place. There's a reason more and more AEW stars are taking that one-way train at WWE. It's not a return back. It's a one-way train, and because it's a great place to be, especially right now. I think it's great for the competition. I think AEW's been doing it for a while. So yeah, WWE can throw their shots. End of the day, they're the top dogs. I think AEW can throw all the shots they want, but the facts are the facts. The ratings are the ratings. The attendance records are the attendance records. WWE's number one. AEW, it seems like they haven't been throwing as many shots now, that maybe they kind of doing some self-reflection, realizing, hey, we're not number one. But AEW, calm down on the disses and maybe start focusing on rebuilding the brand. But they didn't need to do the diss, but yeah, why not? Why not do it? You got Cody down there. You got former AEW stars down there. Why not throw a little fun segment, get 1 million views on Instagram, Twitter, whatever? I thought it was great.
I actually quite like these disses. The only time I don't like them is when it's kind of like it's taken away from a big moment in AEW, or it's dissing something which is like a bit of a serious matter. Like when there was some of the Vince McMahon stuff, I was like, I just don't think you should touch that. But Shard's agreeing with you, Josh. He's saying, timeless phony storm. So
he's on fire with those puns.
Conference. But I do agree. Cody's been Mr. Nice Guy. He's been wearing those tie clips Clark hates. Well, a little jab doesn't hurt at all. I do agree with you. But also, Josh, great shout. And we'll get onto Dynamite in just a little bit.
Why does he carry the belt like he's going to break out in a guitar solo?
Enough of the hate, man. Enough of the hate.
But a great shout from you, Josh, about the fact that the NBA finals are tonight. Me being British and not a basketball fan, I had no idea about that. But now it does explain why AEW is so stacked tonight. We'll get onto that in just a little bit. But before we do, I've been in a little bit of controversy myself. The internet has not been very kind to me today about certain things. Well, over the past 24 hours, basically, I said the booking of Awesome Troop has sucked. And I will stand by that comment. The booking, since they become tag team champions, has absolutely stunk. It's barely existent. Like, they've had next to no booking. they've had no real title feuds. I don't really understand why people were so angry at me for it. People were saying in the comments, "Oh, all you ever do is complain."
Yeah.
Out of my last 20 reels, 18 have been positive. How on earth can that be me complaining? How does that mean I'm always complaining? Absolute stupidity, and I'm complaining about that. Although this won't be a reel, so I'm keeping the 9 out of 10 ratio going. Clark, in all seriousness, though, Awesome Truth, what have your thoughts been, on their bugging as tag team champions?
So these goofballs poked hard enough at the good guy, the guy with all the positive takes. They got the bad guy on this one. It's been garbage. What are we talking about? It's been trash. There is no tag division on Monday Night Raw. There isn't one. You tell me the number one contenders for the tag belts that aren't a thrown together team of single stars. Stop it. Knock it off. Ben was right. Ben was right in the first place. It's been a joke. The booking's been trash across the board. And I love R-Truth and Miz. I love them comedically. I loved the build. I loved the moment at Mania. But what in the world do we do now? This isn't even Truth and Miz's fault. There's nobody that makes any sense to come and take the tag belts and run this division and make it relevant again. And that's what we need. It's a division. There needs to be more than 2 or 3 teams at a time, and then we just make a new one every time one loses. Let's have a legitimate division with 6 or 7 established teams. If we're going to do that, 5 or 6 established teams, if we're going to do this and make it right. It's about the tag belts. It's not even about Awesome Truth. And I stand by Ben. I think he was absolutely correct in what he said. And I don't care what anyone else said about it.
Thank you, Clark. At least I'm not going insane. At least, Then again, if they find out we're both agreeing with this, then they'll probably hate it even more, won't they? Oh, gosh. I think we might make the internet explode. But Josh, what about you? Do you want to jump in on the Awesome Truth? Not the Awesome Truth hate, because we're not hating on them, but the hate of the booking of them. Or do you think that maybe both me and Clark are being a bit too harsh about this?
No, I'll hop on the bandwagon with you guys. Yeah, no, it sucks. Has Awesome Truth's booking has their booking been bad? I don't know about yeah, it has been bad, but I think more of the blame is just I think they've just ran their course. I think what kind of booking can you even give them in the situation that would make them stars? We're talking about a comedy first kind of group compounded of 2 Hall of Famers already in their own right, who are 43 and 52 years old. That's old. Sorry. Frankly, they just don't fit where WWE is heading today. It's not a matter of their booking. It's just they shouldn't be champions because they don't really fit into the new WWE. We're talking storytelling, new storytelling, higher quality matches, building divisions. Like Clark said, Awesome Truth doesn't really fit into that new criteria. WWE has a strong tag division, and they need to build it. We've seen a lot of, and I know we've talked about this several times in the daily, really long title reigns. WWE, we've seen a common pattern of that. The tag championships are belts that we could see go away from that. We could see tag reigns happen. We could see one end, then it begin the next week, then another one ends the next week. We could see they have a very strong division. So let's start using this division. Let's start getting more. This is the kind of championship belt that we can see on Raw. I don't want to see the Universal Championship defended on Raw. I don't. But I love to see the Raw Tag Team Championship defended on Raw. This is a belt that we can see be used a lot. We could see it be defended a lot. We could see it change hands a lot. And seeing R-Truth and The Miz win that belt at Mania was electric. I was there in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia crowd, I'll never forget that. But it's been 2 months. It's time. In my opinion, the Creeds should be picking up this belt anytime now. I'm predicting the Creeds win these belts. Gable wins the IC belt. We'll see a new faction of Gable and the Creed brothers who are all holding belts. And then, I'm sure they'll go against Sami Zayn and Alpha Academy. It just makes sense, And end of the day, the point is that the Awesome Truth story has ran its course. The moment was achieved at Mania. They got to their peak, but now what? The Miz and R-Truth, they can still find place in weekly episodes, maybe, but I think they need to give those belts, a new push to a team that needs a new push, and that's where they should go. It's definitely ran its course, and I'm a little bit done with their whole reign.
I agree completely. I also love the shout that you said that the Creed brothers with Chad
Yeah.
Gable. That's money. That
Yeah.
really, really is. I want to
That
see
pairing makes
that.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
It truly, truly does. It'll get the Creeds over because I think they've been a little bit underused, right? But hey, they're still young. Throw them a Chad Gable and send them to the moon. But now let's move on and talk a little bit about AEW because, well, oh well, a lot of times on a Wednesday going into AEW Dynamite, we're complaining about something, and it's been a common theme as of late. But tonight, I'm just really excited. We have Will Ospreay versus Ray Phoenix for the International Championship. And I mean, that match, it makes my mouth water. I want to see it. I am hyped for it. But just in case Will Ospreay being in action isn't enough, so is Mercedes Moné in a match for the TBS Championship against, I'm so sorry, I'm going to botch this name, Zukis. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I've completely butchered that name, but I'm sure I'm not familiar with that talent, but I'm certainly excited to see them. And if Mercedes Moné is happy to step in the ring with them, well, I'm sure they are amazing. We've also got Dustin Rhodes, who we haven't seen in a while, so I'm quite excited to see tonight against Jack Perry in a qualifier for the course that TNT ladder match. And then, Josh, I know you finished school recently. Well, I hope you haven't thrown away your textbooks because it is time for TV time with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, where we'll all learn a lot and have a lot of fun. Hey, guys! And Private Party are going to be there for that. And we also have a 6-man tag team match. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy versus Takeshita, Roderick Strong, and Kyle Fletcher. I mean, if I'm going to complain about anything, it's going to be that match. It's a little bit too random for my liking, even though there are storylines, but they're unnaturally intertwining them, in my personal opinion there. But we'll then have Roosh in action, and AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland will speak. Unfortunately, probably in the mid card. Josh, what are your thoughts heading into this show?
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. What a card for Dynamite tonight. It actually does make sense talking about, the NBA finals are going head to head. They start 30 minutes later than Dynamite. So maybe we'll see, the opening 30 minutes of Dynamite be really good. I don't know what match will open up. But yeah, what a stacked card for Dynamite. The fact I actually looked it up earlier, AEW is sitting at like 2,300 tickets sold tonight. Like that's crazy. This is like honestly like it could be a pay-per-view caliber card what we're looking at. A lot of Dynamites are really, but they can't figure out the best way to sell a lot of tickets, and I don't know what to say about that. But look, ton of good action planned for tonight. Last week, I said what I was most excited for was the learning tree. Always learn a lot. Don't worry, Ben. Never thought my textbooks. I actually love Chris Jericho in this new segment. It's really pissing me off, and that's why I love it so much. He's really good at being the worst person ever, and that's why I love it so much. However, that's not what I'm most excited for tonight. What I'm most excited for tonight, Ray Phoenix and Will Ospreay facing off 1v1 main event at Dynamite. You literally can't make a better match than this. Tony Khan, thank you. I don't know who else I have to thank, the wrestling gods for making this match possible tonight for free on my TV. But thank you, two of the greatest high flyers the sport's ever seen, talent wise, in the ring tonight. It's going to be great. Phoenix is that type of wrestler who, in terms of, innovation, reversals, counters, it could be an actual match for the Billy Goat himself. And, Osprey's been turning it up. We know recently, banger after banger, elevation after elevation. But here's what I'll say, Swerve has something to deliver to Osprey. Will Osprey, will he be prepared and focused to face Phoenix for this is for a championship, and time is counting down until the Forbidden Door main event. And I might ask, does Will Osprey need his championship belt to main event Forbidden Door? In my opinion, no. So, I'm going to throw the ball in the wind here. Phoenix has history of, taking people to their limits. He took Omega to his limits. He took Moxley to his limit. Is it time for an upset tonight? I think it may be. This match could prove unpredictable tonight. I think Will Ospreay could lose the belt tonight due to an interference of Swerve. they could finally really build this main event of Swerve and Ospreay for Forbidden Door. He costed him his championship opportunity, and now it's going to be for the one. I mean, it was for the one belt either way, but he doesn't even need the belt anyways. So yeah, Swerve is going to interfere. He's going to cost Will the championship belt. Ray Phoenix has become the new champion. It's going to heighten that build to that Forbidden Door main event significantly. And then it's also going to give the belt to someone that, is worthy of it, such as Phoenix. So in my opinion, honestly, I think Ray Phoenix is going to defeat Will Ospreay tonight in the main event of Dynamite and win the championship.
That is a hell of a call. It really is. I can't see it happening, but hey, I mean, I wouldn't be. Well, I don't know. I don't think I would like it actually, because I want to see Will take this belt international and for it to just live up to the name for once. But I have just looked up the ticket sales because I hadn't realized this. Josh, you're right. They are absolutely abysmal. Firstly, the current setup is only 30% of the arena. Secondly, they've only sold 2/3 of the current setup. They've sold about 2,500. I mean, it's not like awful, but I mean, it is quite awful. 30% of an arena, and you're not selling that. It probably tells you shouldn't be running the arena. That's very bad indeed. Literally, there's like this. They're selling like no tickets behind the hard cam side. But anyway, let's now move on because Clark, I want to get your thoughts on tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite and against these low ticket sales too, because they are a bit of a concern.
So I don't need a textbook to know. I'm going to give y'all a little geography lesson here. They're in Des Moines, Iowa. There's only so many arenas you can run. There's a large one in Des Moines, Iowa, because there is a huge sports fan base. Sports fans in Iowa are rabid. So that venue is large, but many concerts run not the full arena in Des Moines. It is a country Midwest classic American town and a great one. I love Iowa. Shout out Connor, my buddy from Des Moines. It's a great city. It is. And the crowd will be loud that's in the venue. This entire equation, and now we're doing math, we're changing subjects. I feel like I'm back in school, but this whole thing's an equation with this NBA finals, right? You look at the fact of the matter is the Boston Celtics are the most popular Eastern market franchise in all of the NBA. The Lakers are second, then you have the Knicks third, all of that. You have the Knicks on the East Coast, obviously, but the Lakers being the most popular, but on the West Coast, and then you have the Bulls in there somewhere. Top four, basically. That market on the East Coast is going to be all over this NBA game tonight, especially up 2-0, headed back to Dallas. It's an away game, so it's a game you watch on TV. The gate at the Boston Garden is watching this game on television because they're not all flying to Dallas. So that's a factor as well. A half hour after the start time of Dynamite is tip-off of this NBA game. Now, as you move west across the United States, you start to talk about Central Time, that's 7 o'clock. You start to talk about, or 7:30 for tip-off, 7 o'clock for Dynamite. Then you start to talk about Mountain Time. And depending on your cable provider, you're going to get Dynamite on a tape delay. Just as I am over here in Southern California on the West Coast, I'm going to get it at 8 o'clock Pacific. At 5:30 Pacific, the NBA game tips off. The NBA game will be long over before the start of Dynamite on my cable programming. So I don't know how those numbers factor in. The people on the West Coast who watch it at 8 o'clock on cable don't go out of their way to watch an East Coast feed at 5 o'clock, 3 hours earlier. I'm going to watch both tonight, personally. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here is I'm going to have the opportunity to watch this 5:30 tip-off, watch the entire length of the NBA game, and then tune into Dynamite. And I don't know if that affects the numbers or not, but it's one of those it's funky, and it's Dynamite specific with this NBA deal, and we got one more year left of it, obviously, until it's up. As far as what I'm most excited about with Dynamite, it's Ray Phoenix. I was there when he cut the promo in the building at the Forum a few weeks back. I want to see the upset, just like Josh said. That's all I want to see. is the upset. I don't think we're going to get it, but dang, would I love it. I said not that long ago on this very show that I think that Rey Fenix is the single best luchador on this planet right now, and I still believe that. And so for a luchador of his caliber, of Rey Fenix's caliber, to carry the international title, I think is worthy. If you're ever going to pull the trigger, if you're ever going to do something special during an NBA game, if this one gets out of hand, the series is 2-0 Celtics. Why not change that channel over to TBS and check out Rey Fenix potentially pulling this upset? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I'm super excited about this main event. No matter what, I will be glued to my chair for all of it. Go Rey Fenix. And that's no knock on Will Ospreay. You know I'm a huge fan of his work. But man, am I excited for this one. Put that on a poster. Put that on a marquee. Let's hope that Des Moines, Iowa shows up and fills in the rest of those seats. That's all we can hope.
Yeah, I mean, it'll have to be, quite a lot of seats, but hey, hopefully they do. And we got Josh with the Go Rey Fenix.
Yes.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped for that match. I feel like Mr. David Sheldon's going to have to get all of his stars out tonight. We might be giving a 5-star extravaganza. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get that with storytelling, to be honest with you.
I think
but in
will.
terms of in-ring action, ooh, my mouth's watering. It really, really is. It should be a delightful episode of AEW Dynamite, and I will be talking about it on Allison Analysis right here on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel tomorrow morning. Then, the normal time of the daily tomorrow, I will be Take It to the Table. So 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And then at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific, is going to be the daily broadcast in its normal Thursday later start time with Clark, Anthony, and Shard talking about AEW Dynamite and a little bit of throwback. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Josh for joining me here today. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Pop, 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 pop.